Hey everybody, I'm Steph.
Hi, Michael.
Today we have our top 10 games that we learned in November.
November 2022.
Yes. And I learned 66 games.
I learned, what did I
Like
say?
50,
59,
58 or
58.
something. Yeah. So you learned quite a bit.
Yeah.
I learned a whole bunch. There's a lot to talk about. But we did get to go to BGG Con, so that also helps with
Yeah.
playing a lot of
This
new
is our
games.
BGG month, so for BGG Con. So as we were, playing all these games, we are like, oh hey, we're gonna have a pretty good top 10 month. I'm not sure it was a pretty good top 10 month. Now the games that made the list are all good games, but there's a lot of games in the middle
That were not as good.
well, here's the thing. We thought it was going to be a much better month because the games are enjoyable to play.
Yes.
They are just fine. Have an enjoyable time playing them. But there's not a lot of things that do a lot of things differently.
They don't like stand out.
They don't stand out at all. I'm like, what was this game? Oh yeah, we played that. That was good. It was okay. There wasn't a lot of super standout titles. However, we have taken all of the best titles and collected them together for you into our top 10 list.
Yes.
There's a lot of crossover this month, I must say.
We did have a bunch of crossover, but there were some there that fine. I got to play that you did not play.
There were at least two.
That you'll probably show up on your list whenever you played.
Whenever that usually happens.
Yes.
Because when you play them and then I play them the following month or 2 months after, yeah, they end up on the list. Even when you set the bar high, they usually end up making the list.
Well, because games are great.
Because great games are great.
Great games are great.
So let's start off with my number 10.
Yeah. Should we wait before we do that? Whoa. Do we want to talk about any expansions?
Sure.
I played a bunch of cool expansions.
What did you play?
So we played.
Oh yes.
This week we played Picture Perfect.
Yes,
both the Movie Stars and Pickpocket. Both were excellent. I love Picture Perfect anyway, so adding expansions for that is great. I also got to try the new expansion for Nidavellir, which I found on Board Game
I have
Arena.
not played that, so yes.
It's really good. I loved it very much.
But what? And there was another one you got to play that is top secret, but you can say what the game is for.
Well, there were two.
Now I'm talking about the one I did not play.
7 Wonders.
Yes.
There's a new expansion coming out for that.
Now, and you also know that it is for the second edition of 7 Wonders.
That's what he said. So
he said. Now, whether it's compatible with first edition, we don't know.
My thought would be no, because it is different backs and everything. So, but exactly. I guess we'll find out. And then we also played in prototype form.
This was awesome.
We played the new expansion for Space Station Phoenix.
Yes.
It's a game I've been playing a whole heck of a lot this year.
Space Station Phoenix.
Such a great game.
I don't remember where it rated that month. I don't think it hit the top, but I think it's got more staying power than a lot of games.
Oh, I've already played it like 9 times.
I think if we were to redo our list, it would bump up a bit on my list.
I learned it in April with all the other games I learned in April, which is a lot, and it was up there. And it's been a consistently great game every time.
So that's when you played at the gathering that I didn't get to play.
I knew you would like.
And then that was one that the bar was set super high.
Yep.
And it hit that bar because it was like, that's a solid game.
It is super solid. So it's available on Board Game Arena, and it's super nice with the interface on board. It's so easy to see everything. And so, and the designer contacted me and was like, "Do you want to play the expansion I'm working on?" And we're like, "Let's give it a go. We can give feedback." And that was really fun. And so I learned.
He's fun to play with.
He's very logical math guy because he's a teacher.
So when we played this expansion, no spoilers, unfortunately, but there are different modules that he had available that we were trying, some of which would go into a box of single modules, some of which could be standalone expansions all unto itself. So a lot of different things going on here. But I ended up I got my 2 races, my 2 hubs basically. And I chose one that I was relatively familiar with, the one that gives bonuses for brown aliens.
Yep.
And then we saw, hey, you haven't taken any aliens out of the bag and put them on the supply. I kid you not, there were like 10, 11, 12 aliens,
You
12 brown aliens.
Huh.
No, I didn't.
Almost.
I almost got them all, but I needed all of them for my area.
Yeah.
And yeah, and you stole two away at the very end. I'm like, stuff in these.
Needed to come in second.
No.
No. Anyway, it's super fun, and we really look forward to seeing how that progresses in the prototype form.
And I can't think of
reality.
any other expansions that I played. So.
Oh, hello, Stacy. I taught her Lacrimosa at PAX, and it was super fun.
Lacrimosa is
been teaching that one a bunch. So.
Is fairly solid. So.
Yes. I think we're gonna jump in.
Yes, we're gonna jump right
to
in.
Our top 10.
To my top 10.
Yes.
This one, I'm going to spoiler and say this was your number 11.
Yeah, this was my number 11.
And it's my number 10. It did make my list. From Rebel Games, it is San Francisco.
San Francisco, a new Knizia game. I really like it. I think it's really cool. It's very simple.
It is simple. So in San Francisco, you've got 5 horizontal districts that you are building up your city of San Francisco.
Yep.
And if you are going to draft a card for one of those districts, they will match generally, unless you've got a wild card. They're going to match one of those districts, and you have to place them in the matching district in the leftmost position that you can place them in. Now, it may not be where you want to place it, but you would have to place it in, leftmost in that horizontal row. Now, you're going to need certain number of workers around these around the skyscraper building spots in order to make skyscrapers pop up. And if you finish out one of your neighborhoods, one of your horizontal rows, you're going to get a bonus for that. Anyway, all of the interesting stuff happens with regards to how these are drafted. Basically, on your turn, you're either going to pick a card and put it on one of these 3 drafting areas, or take all of the cards from one of those drafting areas and then place them in your neighborhoods.
Right.
And so whenever you do, you have to take a contract. What these contracts means is, if I have one contract, I cannot take a stack of 1 card. I have to wait until there are at least 2 cards in a stack before I can take a stack, and it must be a stack that has 2 or more. But when I take it, I then get a second contract, meaning I can only take stacks of 3 or 4 or 5 as you go. When everyone at the table has taken 1, everybody loses a contract, meaning everybody can then jump in and get something. So
yeah.
And I thought that this would not work well at 2 players. I was surprised. It works amazingly well. It's not where one person has 1 and then another person gets 1, they both have 0. It's not really like that at all. Usually somebody has 1 and then 2 and then 3. Somebody gets 1, then that other person drops to 2. And so they're still sort of shut out.
Yeah, it just depends on how much you want something on the table.
It depends on how much you want something. And that is where all of the interesting goodness comes in this game. I recognize the good Reiner Knizia games. I am not a huge Reiner Knizia fan, but this one is super solid, as it should be, because he is a solid designer.
Just missed my list.
It just missed your list. So, basically, it's not a super high scoring game. So it really matters where you put all of your cable car lines and all of the different skyscrapers to get all of your bonuses. So all those little 1 and 2 and 3 points will really add up.
Yep.
So, and you don't want to abandon a district, because then you're going to get minus points at the end. So really worth checking out from Rebel Games.
Yes.
You're number 10.
And you're number 9, actually.
And it is my number 9 from Burnt Island.
Yes.
You're put it on both sides, aren't you? Boom.
Yes.
Fall of the Mountain King.
So we can talk about it jointly, because it's my number 10 and your number 9.
That's correct.
So we will hope to stream this full game of it in the coming weeks, I guess.
Hmm.
It is a pretty big area control game where you're trying to gain control of the different caverns, but you're also trying to gain control over the influence of the different factions. Um, but it has this really neat card mechanic where you're placing these cards down, and then during the actual gameplay, you will be using actions to drop on different types of actions that you've placed your cards. So if you have no blue actions, well, you're not going to be doing much blue action. But if you have a bunch of white actions, you can do like one big action involving that type of action. So, well, I forget the influence action. Like you can influence the leaders,
Hmm.
or you can like what's the word for getting more army
Recruit?
recruit? But there's
I can't remember the exact.
it's gonna drive me nuts. But
I go
you
get
could
it.
you could you can do like grow your armies out
Hmm.
on the map, or you can move around, or you could try and push your luck at defeating the gnomes that are in the caverns, and all these different things you can do using your little card placement. So you always have to and you have to stick to your card, like you're confined to your card space, so you're covering up actions you might not want to cover, but you'll be gaining other actions, and so it's a neat little mechanic that they have going on there.
So it's not just a war game where my uh, little critters are trying to beat up her little critters. They all coexist on the map. You are trying to get area control of these areas, plus you're trying to, for the end game, trying to surround these seats of power in order to get points for those at the end of the game. Because if you have the most around, you're going to get somebody around this power area. So yeah,
I was trying to think of the word muster.
muster.
As
You're
what
going to
I was,
muster
that's
troops.
what I was trying to get.
So every so often you're going to have a rush of, what are they, gnomes?
Yeah,
Muster conscripted. Yeah,
they're
you
gnomes.
you got it.
We are orcs.
We are
The gnomes
trolls or
are.
orcs.
I thought we were orcs.
I don't know.
Pretty sure. And then we are. The gnomes are
The
invading.
gnomes are invading, and eventually, as the lore would have it, it's the fall of the Mountain King. So eventually, everything will
Collapse.
fall apart, which it makes it difficult to keep your guys out there. Now, here is an interesting mechanic. When you get the gnomes rush in, you are then going to defend that area from the gnomes coming in. And the gnomes are going to come in uh, and then go to the next area and to the next area. If you are the first one, the first troll to fall, you will get the first fallen
Yeah.
bonus.
Bonus.
And so that happens. And so that will give you some amount of points. Now, while all this is going on, there are different colored regions of the board, and the colors don't overwhelm the board, but it's easy to tell them apart. And there are different kingdoms in the underground kingdom, and you're trying to gain favor with these underground kingdoms. If you defend an area from the gnomes, you're going to get some points. If you didn't have control of an area and you take control of an area, you get influence with those kingdoms.
They like that.
So you've got all of that. And in addition to all of this, there are, in a two-player game at least, there are 3 leaders that you can gain influence with. When you actually gain control of those leaders, then you will gain influence with their corresponding kingdom, which will push you forward on those tracks. So you've got, if you like area control, this is definitely the game for you because you've got area control on the map. You've got area control of each kingdom on the map. Area control of a space, area control of a kingdom, area control around these little power seats. It's not really area control, but you've got these tracks, which essentially, is that not just area control?
If you have the most influence,
If you have the most influence, then you get the most points. That's area control on the tracks. And to get the leaders, it's area control of a leader by putting more influence on that leader to get you that leader. So you have area control basically there as well. So if you like area control, is definitely the game for you. Would you agree with all of that?
It's cool, and I'm usually not one for area control, but it does
Correct.
it all very nicely in this game.
And that's why I made your top 10.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an interesting game. I like the fact that you don't. And there's a push like aspect to taking out the gnomes. Like you don't have to know what the value is, but you can still go in it.
Yeah, like there are the gnomes are just hidden tokens.
So 1, 2, or 3, and if there's 2 of them there, then they're 1, 2, and 3. So it's valued 2 to 6.
Six.
So like,
Do you have enough? Should I go in?
it's
But if I go in, I'm leaving my spots open for Steph.
or you leave a guy behind.
But if I don't leave a guy behind and you go into an empty area, you don't take control. You know, you don't wrest the control away. Maybe I just abandon an area. But then I can't muster there. There's a lot of balancing going
You
on
have to
with
figure
that.
out what you want to do. And I like the fact that you take out the gnomes and then they're just going to come back into play.
They're going to come back and again and again and again.
You take out the more that are going to come back.
Oh, here's a cool mechanic.
Yeah.
When you take out a gnome, they get pissed.
Yeah.
And you put them beside the board. Oh, it's like a mandala mechanic. I totally forgot to mention any of that. But once it goes around an area, you get pushed up on a track. But if it goes past the other side of that area, there's like 2 trigger points around the circle. Every time you hit that trigger point, then they spit out more gnomes onto the map into this invasion area, and they really every time you kill them, they get more upset, and so that's more and more and more coming onto the map. I mentioned this before we started the stream, and I'm certain that this is true. There's always one game that's I either think has the most potential to rise or fall on my list. This one I think has the most potential to rise on my list.
Or to fall.
Or oh, I see what
see
you
what
did.
I did
There. Yeah, I get the yeah. I see.
In any case, I'm looking forward to trying it again to see how it all plays out and everything. I like it. I think it's cool. So
we've got some questions in the chat. Shano says, "When is Mall of the Mountain King due out?" That's an excellent question. And Dan is waiting for the competitive dance version, Ball of the Mountain King.
Hey, yeah. I'm into it. I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
So be sure to check out Fall of the Mountain King from Burnt Island.
Yes. I guess we move into my number 9.
Your number 9.
Let me see. I gotta get that picture.
Usually I will have a higher ranked game that has the potential to fall. This one is a lower of the top 10 that has really good potential to go way up on my list.
Yeah.
So
my number 9.
Number 9.
Deal with the Devil. Now this was such a unique game that we played at BGG Con. I was so happy that we got to play with Candace and Matt, and that was a lot of fun. It was a bit to get into, but once we got into it, it seemed to move along.
I highly recommend playing this with someone who has played this before, because it will be far easier than having to wade through the rulebook. I really wish we could play this on stream, but we've got to have 4 people. There's the downside to this game. It requires exactly 4 people, and we actually had this on our video, volume 2 of our video of games that we will not be streaming. Now, it's possible if we can get 4 people on stream, maybe we stream this. It's a big footprint. There's a lot going on in this game.
Yep.
But it's super unique.
Yeah,
I think if there's any 4-player game that I'd love to get on stream, it's this one.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, but it's a lot.
It's a lot to get into. It's a lot to learn from the rule book.
It is.
So a video like ours, if we decide to do it, would be fantastic to teach people how to play this thing. Maybe I teach people how to play and we don't play it. Anyway.
We could do that. But there's a lot going on, and there's negotiations and trading and trying to figure out who's who, and a lot of like finger pointing. trying to figure out. Well, Michael's being really shady over there, trying to like say this and this about Candace, and I don't know. It's
So there are two mortals, one cultist, and one devil.
that's right.
And you thought, everyone actually thought, I was the devil.
That's because you're a Cylon.
I am usually the traitor. I actually have on one of my badges that I got from the gathering. It has a traitor pin on the badge, and I wear it proudly because I'm always the traitor, but not in this one.
Yeah, I do like the use of the app
There is
because
an app.
you
It
have
is
these
required.
like treasure chests that slide open that you could put like offerings and such, and you say
There's just little counters for gold or
your soul.
soul or wheat or stone, marble, glass.
Yeah, things you can trade for money and such. And so you can slide it and then you pass them all in, somebody shuffles them up, and then you
There's a little
scan it
barcode.
on the bottom and it says you pass this to the
Yeah.
red
You
place.
basically just hold this over the camera, and it basically like a supermarket scanner. Boop, pass this to the blue player. Boop, pass this to the red player, and it never gives it to yourself. And there's 2 rounds of trading. So once everyone's had a chance to take the offer or not, you take them, you shuffle them up, and you hand them to a different person, and it doesn't hand it back to you, and it doesn't hand it to the person who had it before. So it keeps track of this. So here's the really cool thing. Let's say I'm the devil, right?
Yeah.
And I hand this to you. I am asking for a piece of your soul because that's what I want as the
Makes
devil,
sense.
right? At the table, there are one cultist and 2 people. I want to make this an attractive offer because, after all, you're giving me your soul.
Well, part of it.
Yeah, one of 3 parts of a soul.
Yeah.
So, let's say Steph takes me up on my offer, and then the chests come in, and then we give it to somebody else.
Right.
Whoever that other person is sees that the offer was for a soul, sees that a soul is in the chest, and knows that the other human at the table has given their soul to the devil. And you're like, I'm surely not going to give my soul to the devil, because if the devil gets too many souls, the devil will get super powerful. I think that those sort of things make this game super unique.
Jelly says, and for Steph, that's just a few board games that she sold. She knows me so well.
That's true.
Take my soul. Give me all the.
Figured the devil would make you calculate fractions in thirds. Well, it could be sixths. Get the sixes going on here.
Yep.
So, anyway, continue. This is your number 9. This is not my number 9.
I thought
I will have to talk about my thoughts whenever mine comes up. I will just explain what the game is.
Yeah.
And that is unique. Not whether I liked it or not. Well, that'll come maybe later.
No, I think it's an experience game. And even if you don't think the experience is for you, it might still be worth trying just to see. Because it's not exactly what you think it is until you play it, I think.
I think if you really enjoy board games, you have somewhat, I think responsibility is too firm of a word. You owe it to yourself to play a lot of different board games, not the same type every single time. Like if you love co-op games, don't just stay in your little co-op bubble, which I love co-op games. So no shade on people who love them. I love them as well. But I think you need to try a lot of different games. This game is different.
It's different.
Completely different.
Yes.
And I think you owe it to yourself as a gamer to give this a try to see if it's something that you really enjoy. So,
agreed.
There you go. My number 8 is Tribes of the Wind by Le Bois de Jeu. This game is sort of interesting in that everyone has a rack in front of them where they're going to place their cards.
Mhm.
And so if Steph sees my cards, she doesn't know what is on my cards, but she knows the colors of my cards. And on my turn, I may want to, uh, one of my cards might be um, to have the most blue cards amongst myself and my two neighbors. So you're not like going all the way around the other end of the
It just
table.
looks at your
It
neighbors.
just looks at your neighbors.
Yeah.
Or if you're playing two players, your other player is your left and your right
No,
neighbor.
it's the row. It's a card.
Oh,
row.
that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's an offer row, obviously, because you might want to get things from the offer row. That is your neighbor is one of the players, and the other player is the card row, which is really, I think that does it differently than the games that do. I forgot now that when I said it, but usually games will say that the neighbor is your left and right neighbor.
Right.
But no, this one is the offer row and your opponent are your neighbors. So
see, this feels like a fresh idea. I like the
that
idea.
is a fresh idea, and that's why it made the list. Obviously,
yeah, it's different, and
it's a different idea.
Like city buildings. So
yeah, you've got a grid in front of you. Basically, this is after civilization has ended and you're digging through the rubble and everything. You're trying to find all the different, oh, there's a satellite dish here and there's this and that. And so you are placing tiles on, and then you're placing temples on, but you have to bring a certain number of your people out from your village out into exploring this area, and you will earn points if you can make certain patterns of temples out in the area, or if you've got certain things covered up, like you don't want any of the crashed airplane pictures to be shown, so they have to be covered up with tiles, which you can do that with certain mechanisms in the game. So it just does all of this stuff really unique.
And it plays pretty quickly. I ended up teaching
really
it
does.
again at PAX because Raina was really interested, and both he and Caleb really enjoyed the game. And I think it's super solid, and hopefully, it's gonna be picked up by it's gonna be distributed in the U.S. in the coming months. So hopefully, we'll get a copy to show everybody. I think it's really interesting. So and obviously beautiful art.
Absolutely. So I do have some concerns. Despite the uniqueness of the game, I do have a few little concerns. Sometimes you're going to want to make things in a certain pattern, and you're going to be able to do things based on the cards you play. Well, what if the card you play doesn't go well with what your opponents have? For instance, I can't remember which colors do certain actions, but if you play a blue action, they generally do one certain thing.
Water.
It's water to move, and
water is
it's something to do temples, and it's something to recruit, and it's something to move.
Temples is a thing all by itself.
But I'm saying there are things specifically. There are certain things for certain colors. So if you're trying to make something specific happen, but you're locked into these cards, and your opponents don't, with what your left and right neighbors have, it makes it so you can't play cards. There is a discard way that you can discard and place a temple. Well, what if that's not where you want to place a temple? Or what if you have no temples left? Then you're sort of stuck with these cards. And at that point, players can tend to become stuck. Now, the designers insist on BGG that they've had over 100 games played, and this has not been an issue. But there have been several people in that thread said, I think that this has been an issue in our games. And so there are ways around it where you can, if you don't want to place a temple, they've house ruled it, discard 3 cards and don't place anything. You just discard 3 cards and get 3 new ones. I think that is
easy rule to include.
It's an easy change.
And I do think that opens up more possibilities.
And it keeps you from just getting a really poor draw.
Right.
Now, whenever you are drafting things from the supply row, all you'd see are the card colors.
which is good.
But what if you've got blue and yellow and there's blue and yellow out and I really need some green or really need some red and it's just not there?
Just gotta just yeah.
I mean, what do
You have to figure it out.
you got to figure it out. Now, I'm all for randomness in games, so that doesn't bother me as much. I don't like feeling like there's nothing I can do on my turn. So I do enjoy the newness of what's going on. I am a little concerned with getting stuck in a rut and being surpassed by everyone else on the board while you're sitting there trying to figure things out. They've already got their first and second powers, and so you're sort of struggling, and I don't want it to lead to a negative experience. That said, it did make my list, so I have Tribes of the Wind at my number 8.
Yep. My number 8 is a 2-player game called Canopy.
Canopy.
I guess you can play with more, but you shouldn't. It is a 2-player design, and it should stay that way. But
yes, I think this works really well at 2 players. Though I could see a 3-player version of this with if you have more players, I double the component count. Boom, you can have 4-player, right?
Sure.
I mean, I could see this in another world.
I just heard from people it's not best. It's not.
Oh, really?
Not great with more players.
So it's better.
It's very good with 2 players.
Better as 2.
So might as well just keep it at 2-player. It is a interesting card drafting game and has the same drafting mechanic as an older game called Sea of Clouds from Yellow. It's not older, I guess. It's just from 2016. 2016. So just a few years old. I mean, it seems like it's been a long time since I played that game. But it has the same idea where you look at something, you either keep it or you don't. If you put it back, you add a card to it. Then you look at the next stack, you put it back. So old, says Dan.
So
I know. That's what I'm saying. It feels like a long time ago. But yeah, so you're just building up your rainforest, and you get some like plants, and you get some trees going on. You collect some animals, and so you just play over 3 different seasons, collecting these different plants and trying to score the most points and build up your forest.
No, we didn't play with the advanced animals and plants. We played with the normal set of animals. If you add in animals, you have to take out other animals. So if there are mating pairs, and so if you get one, you really want to get the other one, and so you're really looking for those whenever you're looking to try to draft them out of the piles. But I think what you and I both love about this game is the push your luck mechanic. Look at it, then decide, do I want to give this to my partner with an extra card on it, or do I take it and hate draft it away? Or take what's behind door number 2.
I like going
or door number 3. Here's the thing. If you don't like what's behind door number 3, you're taking a blind card off the top of the deck. So
could also be better.
It could.
So just finding the right time to take the cards and knowing like what's good for you, what you're doing, and it's a nice little drafting game, and it goes pretty quickly.
Now there are fire cards and disease cards. One of them, though, is not bad. A little bit of fire in a forest is not the worst thing because that encourages regrowth to happen. When trees burn, it burns off old, dead growth a lot of times. So fire is, there are actually controlled burns that happen in real forest environments to make sure that, that the plants have, you don't want to choke out the underlying growth in the forest. You want to burn some out. So if you have one fire, that's really good. You actually get to draw things from the fire deck at the end of a round. But if you have 2 or 3 fires, that's bad. You have to start losing plants. Same thing with disease. 1 won't hurt you. 2 is going to take out one of your animals. 3 is going to take out one of your animals and one of your opponent's animals.
Fortunately, we haven't seen that.
Yeah. Same with fire. It's like one of your trees and one of their trees.
That's
so it can spread to,
yeah.
Do you stop at 1, which is good? 2 is bad. 3 is also bad for them. Do you start collecting them knowing, hey, I've already got 2. I might as well just go for all of them. And there are certain powers that let you remove a card, which can make things good for you. So anyway, a lot of goodness going on in this game. Though it's not time for my Canopy review yet.
No, I think it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you're into two-player games at all. It's a small box footprint and it's beautiful.
Yes,
So
I agree.
definitely recommended.
Yep, and it's a two-player, yeah, two-player title because it plays perfectly at two.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
absolutely from Weird City Games. Yep.
Our number sevens are the same.
Whoa,
Another crossover.
that does not happen very often.
No, and we have a bunch of them this month, so
Yes.
that's cool. That's cool. Our number seven
We shake
is
this city.
We Shake This City.
Yeah. So Shake That City from AEG. So we actually showed this on stream
Just the other day, yeah, because
Yeah.
it's on Kickstarter, I believe, right now.
Yes.
So we got an early prototype slash production slash copy. So yeah,
And basically, it works like a lot of current roll and writes do. One player will make
shake it,
will
shake it, shake.
and make the cubes come out, right? And then you're going to place tiles that correspond to those cubes on your grid. Now, it's going to be the same orientation for your map and everybody else's map, no matter where they're sitting at the table, which I think is cool. But everyone's will be wanting to get the same things at the same time. Well, here's the catch. The person that put the cubes out gets first dibs. Everybody else has to take something else. And that you see that a lot in current roll and rights or flipping rights.
Yep.
I take one, y'all take what's left.
Yep.
And you can share what's left. You can take the same things.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that can take this.
Yep.
So boards will end up looking different over time.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Here's the catch with that Shake That City. I think that the gameplay is unique with how the cubes will come out of the little tower. I think they're with only two maps, a front side and a back side. The front side has a certain way to play. The back side has a slightly different way to play. I think that this game would be most helped by an expansion pack that had more maps, even if it had the same ways to score, but having more and varied map layouts. So I like how you have to get the things in a line in order to get bonuses, and that actually gives you quite a few points by getting lines with uh, certain types of buildings in those lines.
Yep.
So
I think it's a nice tile placement game. I don't think it does anything different besides the gimmick of the cubes, which I actually quite enjoy the cube shaker. I wish it was a little bit bigger just to randomize the cubes better because if I pull out
if you put some in the top, you think that the other parts are already mostly set.
Complicated. Therefore, it's not gonna because you can't really go like this to really.
You can't randomize it a lot by.
So it's already set in that if I pulled 5 red last time, that those 5 red probably aren't gonna make it into. So it's not as random.
It'll come up eventually.
Sure.
It's not when you want it to. It's the problem. I am concerned with that. Yes.
It's not like perfect, right? It's not a perfect solution, though it is a cool gimmick, and I enjoy what it's doing, and I enjoy that you have to be restricted to the placement in the way that you're viewing it. So it's I think it's a nice game, and I'm happy to play it further.
Yes. Yeah, I think I enjoy what it is doing with the placement.
Yeah.
I like that. Oh, hey, I can't even place these black cubes. I have to place these blue cubes instead, or these green cubes.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, if you can only place one of the types of cubes, you must place that type of cube, even if it's not where you want to place it, because you don't want to have homes next to industries. Well, too bad. You're gonna have to put that there. So
that's all that fits.
That's all that fits. Then it sits. So I think that there is. You're usually never railroaded into a decision like that.
Right.
Usually there is
something else
interesting decisions to be made.
Yeah.
So yeah. Where to place your things.
It's a nice game, so I'm glad that we got to check it out. And if you're still on Kickstarter and you want to go check it out, then you should definitely do that. We also have a video on that as well. I think it's a solid game, and it's one I would suggest playing every so often,
Absolutely.
and be happy to play further. So,
And we had a actually had a prototype copy of it, but the cardboard for the cube shaker was super thick.
yep.
The rubber bands were sturdy, not cheap little knockoffs.
No, it's nice. It's
And they
a
had
nice
yeah, and they
production
had
prototype.
spares in the box.
Yeah.
So if those, you want a rubber band of the right size. You don't want it too
Right.
small because it's
Too
too
big.
tight.
Yeah.
You don't want it,
Yeah.
to be too loose because then it's just gonna flop around. The little deposit, thing is gonna not be tight. It's gonna just flop around. So I think it's done as it needs to be done
Right.
with the right thickness and the right components.
And
So,
like the Kickstarter might unlock more stretch goals that I haven't really looked into. So definitely check out. Maybe they have more maps. Maybe they have more stuff that they're offering in the Kickstarter.
maybe so. So that is certainly something worth checking out. We do have a question. How do you keep Steph from shaking it dramatically?
You don't.
You don't, because literally the first game we played, she did what you saw there is what she did, and the key went blowing right out the top, and she's like, "Oh," and I was like, "Keep it on the ground."
No, I want to shake it up real good.
You really did. You picked up.
That's what happened. That's right, Delphia. This is what we needed.
Power number 7, shake that city.
Absolutely.
Check the floor for pieces.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. My number 6,
Your number 6 has the cutest little bats.
Atiwa from Lookout Spiel.
Yep.
So,
That's what happened.
in Atiwa, you are going to be running a little village,
Yep.
right? And managing pollution and trees and fruit and, believe it or not, bats
They're so cute
are
though. Look at
very
him.
cute. So, you are going to place your guys on action spaces on the board, and those action spaces are going to allow you to do certain things like take a fruit or take one of the village cards or take some bats or something, and these are going to be slightly different every game. Every round the tiles are going to move on a track that lets you basically know what sort of round condition you are looking for. Like you are trying to have
Two goats.
if you have 3 hut spaces,
Yeah.
then you will get some extras pop out. Or yeah, if you have so many goats, you're going to have extra ones pop out, or whatever. If you have a certain amount of bats, certain things going to happen. So basically, you're going to take all your actions. We're going to place all of our people, and then the end of round things are going to happen, where you're going to start at the top of your board and work your way down. As you have placed more things will happen. For example, if you have placed enough, what is it? If you place enough bats, you're going to get more trees, and if you have more trees, you're going to get more fruit. If you have more fruit, you're going to get more people. I can't remember exactly what.
Yeah, it's like you place enough trees and you get like fruit, and then fruit will get bats.
Fruits will get bats.
And then bats. I forgot what bats give.
I can't remember. But basically, you have to train, and this is actually this is a thing, I guess. You train. You have a untrained or trained villagers.
Family.
If you train the family on how to basically host bats, then the bats live with the family.
Yeah.
And it gives them another place to live.
It's weird.
Yeah. It is really odd. You can temporarily put them in a cave, but they're all going to come out at the end of the round. They all have to have a little place to stay.
Yep.
There is a catch. For every, how does pollution trigger? I can't remember. This got
Yeah, if you don't have trained
If you
families,
don't have, yeah, if
you're
the
gonna have pollution.
right. Oh, oh, and the untrained families can eat bats. Trained families will not eat bats because bats are pets, not food. So, um,
I guess.
I mean, who knew? Um, if you train
Can
them,
eat a
so
bat.
if you have untrained families, then they're going to resort to things like pollution. And when pollution appears on your little village tiles, they are going to pollute on the first spot of each village tile. And so you have to try to keep all of that under control while increasing your trees and increasing your fruit and increasing your bats and increasing your village. So all of those things work really cool together. If you like crunchy euros, I think Atiwa
I
is
mean,
worth
there's
trying.
spaces, but it's not like hard.
No, it's not hard at all. I think it's
The
like
same level of Glass Road or
medium weight euro.
Bird. Yeah, it's
I
not
mean,
like
it's euro,
yeah. It's not like the easy UVA games. It's
right?
the middle of the road UVA games.
Middle Uva
Not
games.
a hard.
It's not a hard Uva game.
It's not a big UVA, but it's like like Glass Road and
Meaning there are interesting decisions.
yeah, you still have to try and plan out what you're gonna do because you only have so much time and to get it all done. So.
Right. Now here's this one slight knock is that all the village tiles are the same. If I'm going to get one of the level 1 villages, one below it looks just like it, and the one below that looks just like that in the layout of the village. Each village is basically a 3 by 3 grid, little tic-tac-toe board grid on which you can place trees and or fruit and or bats and or huts.
It's like a forest deck that has different things. It might have villages on those as well, which is all different. It's random. Those cards are random.
Those are random. So I don't want this game to become samey over time. I worry about that. Should you try this game out, though? Absolutely. Definitely check out.
It's on the list to get for me, so I'll get it eventually. I'll pick it up sometime. Somebody will want to sell it in a VFM, so I'll get it.
Lookout hasn't provided it to us, but we did play it at BGG
But I
Con,
love it. It's fun.
and it is super fun. So Lookout, if you're watching this video, hey, send us a copy of Atiwa.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, I gotta try, right?
Gotta try.
If you don't ask, you don't get.
Yep. All right. My number 6 is one we just talked about called Tribes of the Wind.
Oh yeah.
Very colorful, very beautiful. I love the hand management and like you said, there's a few concerns. Like they could have easily added in that one rule, like choose 3 cards to discard and just draw new cards as your whole turn.
Well, I don't think they encountered it ever.
But sure, in my 2 years, it never happened, but it was a concern.
So
at one point,
you said it didn't happen, but it did, and it was right to your right on me. There were many times I was like, I can't do anything with this.
So you build the
so
city,
I
or you
did feel it.
Build a temple or something.
I don't like. I'd never liked the feeling of, oh,
it's like the only thing
this is the only thing or this is the only thing I can do, but I really don't want to do it. That's even worse than this is the one thing that I can do.
Like thing in, even if it has to be a house rule, then maybe so be it. That is a house rule.
I 100% agree.
But it's an easy rule that they could include. But otherwise, I think the game is super solid. It works really well. Even with 5 players, we played it pretty quickly, and turns are snappy, which is
super snappy.
And it's like, oh, it's my turn again. Cool.
I mean, that was hard to keep track of whose turn it was. It's like
just going so fast because it's like, oh, discard this card, do this action, get some resources, whatever, or build a village.
And then refresh your hand and put that.
It moves quickly. It's a nice game, and not all games that play 5, have that snappiness. So I can applaud that, and I liked it quite a bit.
There's another snappy game that's coming up further up the list, where turns are super snappy. I can't wait to talk about that one.
All right, we're the same number 5.
Whoa, another crossover. Now, this was not intentional. Matter of fact, I try to. I don't try to make them line up. I'm glad when they do, but they rarely do. This month is weird.
Same games on the list.
We have indeed.
So both our number 5 is called Applejack.
Applejack from the Game Builders.
The Game Builders. Wow, I love this. It's a new Uwe game. Another Uwe Rosenberg game.
Oh,
What?
Steph said, just some guy in Tennessee said, "You guys are like a barn and elevator. You really lift my spirit."
Ah, thanks for joining us. Happy to have you here. We are on our number 5.
Number 5.
And this is Applejack, which I knew I wanted to play BGG Con. You probably hadn't even heard of it, but I'm
Oh, I hadn't even heard of it.
like up to date on my UVA games. I'm like, okay, I gotta play this one, I gotta play this one, I gotta play this one. I still have to play the Canal one, which looks amazing. But this was another UVA game that came out.
But a lighter UVA game.
Yeah. But it's not as light as like Patchwork.
Correct.
There's more going on here.
There's a lot more going on.
Yeah, because you're drafting these apple tiles and placing them in your little like.
It's a hex grid.
It's a hex grid, and you're trying to gather honey. Honey is the points and the currency in the game that you will need to pay for these tiles to place them. But then you get some money back for placing it next adjacent to other tiles with appropriate numbers and such. So if you place a 9,
you're trying to make groups of certain colored apples in your hex grid.
Yeah, but all while trying to place like numbers together, because if you place a 9 next to a 7, you'll get 7 honey back. But if you place a 9 next to a 2, you'll just get honey back.
There are numbers on the edges of on some edges of some tiles.
Yes.
And so you have to turn things like it may be on the upper 2 positions.
Yeah,
like here and here, not on top and not anywhere on the bottom.
Right.
That you have to place. Or it may be everything on the upper side, none on the bottom side. Or it may be in positions 1, 3, and 5. Who knows? It may be across from each other.
Okay, so if you
really don't know, but you have to line them up.
Appropriately, you can get some honey back and honey's points. So
because if you put a 9 next to no number, you get nothing. If you put a 9 next to a 2, you're getting 2. If you have a 9 next to a 9, you're getting 9. That's what you want. But how much is it going to cost you? It's going to cost you
the tile value. So it would cost 9 to place it. So you want to try and get as much back as possible. And so the tiles, there's like I think 9 or 11 different apple types, maybe 9.
I thought that was 6, but
no, there's more than 6. There's I think 9 or 11 or something like that.
There's a lot of different apple types.
There's a lot of different apples, and we're actually playing with somebody who's colorblind, but they're all shaped a little.
They're shaped differently. Yeah, and so he had no trouble playing it,
right?
Even with a little bit of colorblind, the red-green colorblind.
To do it, which I was surprised. So that was a good thing.
Because there's red, green, brown, and yellow, and they're all in pink.
Like another green and like. Yeah, so
we would call them the bright green and the dark green.
The orange and like
he was getting them by the shapes. Yes. Like, oh, this is you can tell it's got a little sprig on it, a little leaf on it.
Bit different. So you're trying to gather these apples in bunches and
groups.
In groups. So if this tile has a brown and a pink, you want to kind of have a brown and a pink adjacent to it to have a continuation of those same type apples. And then the bigger the group you have at the end, the more points you can get. But you also want different apple groups. And so you're trying to get different apple groups, all while trying to maintain the board situation. So every time it's your new player's turn, this ticker is going to go around. And
when you move your little piece forward, you can draft from the left side or the right side of where your piece is. You're basically going around in a circle.
Right.
And there are different drafting areas.
Yeah.
Well, if she's going, then she's going to be taking from one of those 2 rows. When I'm going right after her, I'm taking from one of the rows she had available to her and the row that's available to just me and the next player in line.
So you can kind of plan
a little
bit. I mean, somebody still might take your tile, but you can still you can see your options for what it's going to be. But also when it's your turn, there's going to be a possible scoring happening.
Right. So if it's my turn, I move my little piece. And if I'm on a red apple, all red apples will score on everyone's board. And that's where you're going to look. Count the number of red apples in each group, and then that's how much points I get. Now,
minus the round that we're in.
Well, that's the thing. Whenever you go around again, then it's going to be, that many apples minus 1 or minus 2 or minus 3. In each group. So if I've got one big group of 9, minus 3 is 6.
That's
But if that's good. But if I've got a set of 4 and a set of 5 instead of a group of 9, like these two are separated, it's 4 minus 3 is 1, and 5 minus 3 is 2. So I get 3 points. Not quite
that's
as
good.
good. It's less good.
So there's a bunch of different scorings happening each round, so you kind of want to prepare for that. So there's lots of things to think about in this little like game.
Right.
So you don't want to run out of honey because
Yeah.
those are what get you. That allows you to buy tiles. You can also just pull blind if you don't like your options, which I did like several times because I was looking for very specific apples.
Yeah.
So
How about them apples?
how about them apples? I found what I needed. So
You did. You drew,
it worked
drew
out
poorly a couple times, and then you drew like jackpot one
what
time.
I needed, but even so, I lost. But I got all my groups, so that worked out.
Yeah. So it's the challenge of getting the right tile in the right place with the right apple colors.
Yes.
So yeah, I really enjoy all of it.
As you can see, we both really like this
Dan
one.
still needs to play this.
I told him he needed.
We
to
don't
play
have it.
No, I don't have it. It's hard because it's
Hey,
not,
game builders.
it's not. Yeah, it's not available in the States, but hopefully it will be at some point. And yeah, it's super solid. I love it.
Most of our number 5s.
Yeah, there you go.
And the games only get better from here, right?
And, yeah.
I mean, we're getting better and better and better as we go. So both of us really enjoyed Applejack.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out.
I like Applejack since I ever loved the cereals.
Cereal, so yummy.
My number 4
Is this?
It's definitely a different game.
This
Mountain of Madness by Yellow.
Yep.
So in Mountain of Madness, you are trying to. It's a Cthulhu themed game. Trying not to go insane, basically.
I mean, there isn't much Cthulhu.
There's not a lot.
There is,
but it is that.
Insanity.
It's that time period and that theme and all of that. So you and your group of artifact relic finders, you are trying to ascend up this mountain, and a little Cthulhu as a treat is like a little baby Cthulhu. You are trying to ascend this mountain and look for different relics and all sorts of different things going on. Here's the catch. Whenever you get something, there's a price to be paid because you're going to go a little crazy. So, but by the time you get to the top of the mountain, you must have captured enough of the relics in order to even escape off of the mountain. So, you have to have some, but you don't want to get too much so that you go completely insane, and that you don't want to have too few so you can actually leave. So a little delicate balance is going on there. So what do you care if you go insane? Well, this is a game where you are trying to contribute certain amounts of cards from your hand into a face down pile while you're on a timer, while you're affected by certain insanities. And that makes this game, for me, super unique. Now, your level 1 insanities will give you something like, I'll give you my example from my level 1 insanity. At the start of every whatever phase this is called, when you flip over the timer and you're contributing cards, I have to high five everyone around the table. I go, yeah, yeah, and if she doesn't do it, I can't start discussing it. So I have to high five everyone around the table.
So annoying.
That's a minor insanity. So you all discuss. You can openly discuss what's in your hand. You just can't show it. So I've got 4 tools. I've got 4 tools. I see we need tools. We need somewhere between 9 and 11 tools. I've got 4, and everyone has to say it. As soon as one person contributes, talking must stop at the table. So get all your ducks in a row, then go for it.
Yep.
So whoever is the leader for the turn can spend another 30 seconds to start the discussion phase over, no matter if cards are already in the sled or not. You can start another 30 seconds by spending a leadership token. Leadership tokens are rare. You don't want to be spending them willy-nilly because you're going to need them to reset your draw pile. You're going to need them to disregard certain things and to start the check over or whatever that you need to do.
Yep.
So you're going to need to save those leadership tokens. If you are fully insane and you have to take another insanity, you lose a leadership token from the game. You don't want that.
No, you don't want that.
Because if you run out of leadership tokens completely, you all lose the game. So, you're going to turn those cards over. If for some reason you have even one success, then you're going to succeed and get whatever's on the card. For however many failures you have, there's going to be some sort of penalty happen where you're going to take an injury or you're going to take an insanity level. So, insanity level 1, not a big deal. Insanity level 2, if somebody says the word tools, which is one of the 4 types, then you must go up and you can't play. You can't play any cards. You yell and you can't play. That happened to Susan several times. And we're like, I know what her insanity is. Here's the thing. Whenever the discussion phase and the contribution phase is over, and you ask somebody about their sanity, they can't say, they're supposed to act like they don't have an insanity.
Right.
I love it. I love that mechanic.
It's crazy.
I see what you did there.
You do need the right group, that's for sure.
You need the right group.
I enjoyed the one where James was like, I have 4 tools, and then I would be talking like, I have 3, 4, 7, and 8, 20 this, and
20 that. Every time James can say whatever he wanted. Yeah. As soon as he heard another number, he has to say that number plus 1.
Plus 1.
So I'd be saying, let's say I'm James, right? And I've got 7. Yeah, go ahead and say things like you would. I've got 7 tools, 5, and then 21, and then he'd have to acknowledge that person. There was one where he could only talk to the person to his right. He could listen to everyone, but he had to focus on the person to his right.
Yeah, he was just a Susan.
If it was Susan. I love how this works. Now
this is an experience game.
We did escape off the mountain.
Yeah.
Without going completely insane. We barely made it.
Yeah, we did.
Barely. There is a version when you go from a level 1 insanity to a level 2, you lose your level 1. When you get good at the game, you keep all your insanities. And people have to figure out how to deal with your level 1 thing and then your level 2 thing. I could see over time where it would be easy to predict what someone's insanity is. So this probably would need a little refresh of an expansion. There are plenty of insanity things, like you can only play with one hand. It's like,
I had a hand of cards, but I couldn't use them, so I had to have Michael take them out.
Oh yeah, there was that too. She's like,
take this.
I know, but I got it immediately. She wants me to do this, and so I did. There was one of my insanities was I could not say. Oh yeah, she had to keep her face covered like that. There was one of my insanities. Now, remember the one where I said that anytime someone said the word tools, Susan would go, and just close her hand? My insanity was I could not say any of the 4 words or synonyms for those words.
But what about red?
I would call that a synonym for the word tools. So I would have to listen for somebody to say, and we need 9 to 11 tools. I would say, I've got it. I've got it handled, but I didn't say tools. I didn't say red. I didn't say yellow. I didn't say, there is a way that there's supplies. It's in a box. We would often call them boxes to not say the word crates or whatever it was.
That's crazy.
We would say box.
Okay.
But I couldn't even say the word box. Anyway, definitely not what you think when you look at this box of Mountains of Madness. It looks like your standard Cthulhu game. It's really not. It is different.
Yeah.
Definitely worth checking out. And it made my number 4 because of how unique it is.
It is very different.
Yeah. Did not make your list. Spoiler alert.
No.
So
But it didn't rate
It
poorly
it
either.
didn't know. It was like in your top 20. It wasn't in your top 10.
Yeah.
But it was in your top 20.
Yep.
So you definitely didn't hate it.
No.
So we had a really fun time. Anyway,
Yes.
there's a lot to talk about on that game. Number 4.
Number 4.
This is sound like the Monty Python sketch with the mattress salespeople.
My number 4 is one that we just talked about called Atiwa.
Atiwa.
Which obviously cute bats and Uwe Rosenberg and fun and all of that. So they do a good job with like the pictures.
So you're saying there's 2 Uber games.
I know. It would have been 3 if we played the Canal one, but we never played that. So you know what I mean? So that they did a good job with all of the icons are very self-explanatory. I could easily see like I go here and get the 2 icon things or whatever. Get a tree, get a goat or whatever. It's clear. I understand the game. I understand Uva games, so that makes sense to me. The whole game just makes sense. I had a good time. We had a good time, and I won it.
You won it.
What else is there to say?
Let's drive.
Let's play it.
Just play it. It's worth playing.
Yes.
My number 3, we've already talked about.
Oh, did we?
Yes, we did.
Sweet.
I don't know if it's sweet. I don't know if I'd eat it. But it's Canopy.
Yeah.
So I really like I like the pressure luck of going from pile 1 to pile 2 to pile 3.
Yeah.
If you've got a tree trunk that pops up, you can either put it as a new tree or you can add it to an existing tree as long as it doesn't have a canopy on top. If it's a canopy on top, you're done with that tree. And so let's say you get a canopy, but you don't have any tree trunks on which to put it. Well, you basically have lost that canopy. And this actually happened. We played it a couple times.
Yeah.
And one time played very differently than the other time because the second time I was getting tree.
The first time I had tons of animals. I was activating animal powers, and I just got a lot more accomplished. In the second game, I did not.
You did not.
Nothing was coming out my way.
And I like the fact that each game can play out very differently, and that is a concern when it's a 2-player game with not a lot of components. You might worry that, hey, this might play similarly every time. I think that with our 2 very different experiences, our 2 different playthroughs, I think that there's enough different things that can happen that could keep it somewhat fresh. Plus, there's those different animals that can be used in place of the ones that come.
There's other cards you can include instead. So yeah.
For sure. So definitely worth checking out. Canopy from what is it again? Weird City Games. I always like to mention the publisher on these.
Yes, my number.
Your number 3.
3 is from a Porta Games called Revive.
That's one I did not play.
This would make his list if he had played.
Jeff is getting a copy of this. What, Canopy or
Ottawa?
Oh, of Ottawa.
Yeah, you're behind. Revive is an engine building game and a deck building game where you are getting these cards to use on different action spaces, and then where you put your card depending on if you're going to use the top or the bottom action of the card. And if it's a green color card, you might already have upgrades for green. So if you make a green card happen, then all the green activations will happen, getting you more stuff. So
totally engine building.
It's totally
engine building.
But meanwhile, you're out doing other things on the board, so you can explore new lands and like find villages, and just you're trying to acquire the different land types, and that will get you points. But you're also trying to advance on your different tracks. So you have 3 different tracks that you're trying to unlock cool abilities on. So all these things kind of come together. So there's a lot going on.
You've successfully set a high bar for this game.
There's a lot going on. All right.
Yeah, I do want to now. Now you've made me want to play this.
I know. Well, it's one that I know you're.
Engine building check.
Yeah. No, I know.
Tracks
check. I love it. So I know.
Check.
And so you can't do it all, obviously.
Can do it all correct. Love that.
You're like, oh, but I just need one more push on the green track, and then I can unlock this cool bonus, and then I can. Oh, okay, so there's a lot you need to do to get just one push, but it's good choices.
Yeah, you love games like that. Oh, I need one more thing to make this cool combo happen.
And the
Because you're the queen of combos.
no, for sure. And then the cards that you're using will get basically put aside, so you can't use them again next round. So then you
Oh.
have to like use these other cards that you have, and then
Do they,
so
they go to like a resting area and then a
yeah,
refresh?
yeah, that's basically what it is. I mean, you might find a power that unlocks a resting card, so then you have it. But as soon as you buy a card, it's available for you to use. So you're trying to plan all these things because you only have so many card slots, and you do two things on your turn is also, which is cool. So like you can't be like setting up for something and somebody takes it, because you can set up to have the two actions you need to accomplish what you're trying to do if you plan it right. So I like that there are two fast actions that you do on your turn, and so you get more done. Or you could just take the turn and pass, and then no, you don't have to wait for everybody to pass. It's the kind of game where you pass and you basically do your income, and then it comes back to you and you start and you do more stuff. So the longer you can hold out without passing, maybe you'll get extra bonuses or something, and everybody else is passing, so you can like figure out get things that way. But generally, you're gonna have to pass eventually and get cards out of your way, and so
Yeah, I like games where you have to you spend your resources certain places or whatever. I can't remember what the game was. Can't remember what the name was, but when you run out of stuff, you then pass to take everything back. I love
right,
games like that because
yeah.
I'm taking stuff back at a far different time than you're taking
Could
stuff.
be, or it could be the same time. But
Yeah,
yeah.
but it also clears the spaces for you.
Yep.
I love games like that. You know the game I'm talking about.
There's a few, and
There's several, and I
unfortunately
love the ones that do that.
can't remember like off the top of my head.
But yeah, I love games that do that. So that's definitely one I need to play.
Yeah, I'm very excited to acquire a copy of that because it is awesome, and I'm very happy about it. I always like Aporta games. They always have something new and different. Like Magnificent was my game of the year. What, 2 years, 3 years ago? I don't know. I like what they do over there.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I was very interested in trying that one out, and I was not
Yeah,
disappointed.
you played the heck out of that when Magnificent first came out. You've played it several other times since. So yeah,
exactly.
I mean, yeah, I loved Magnificent, but
I
it
loved
was
it.
twice.
I loved it. You loved
I have
it.
so many other games I got to play.
Exactly.
um,
So this is Revive, and hopefully everybody will get to check that one out.
yes.
Awesome.
Me and Tyrell says me and Rainer looked at this before Essen, and the description really turned him off. Don't remember why. Wow.
Well, I mean,
You should try it.
if it's theme, I'm really bad with themes, so I don't really know what the theme actually was.
I mean,
it's like robots and like land.
You literally went right into the mechanics.
I don't know how to do it. I just don't know how to do theme. I really don't.
That's what you got me here for.
I don't do theme, and everybody should know that by now. Because I'm like, I think they're like robots, and
I mean, you went right into it's an engine building game. You get to take the top and the bottom of the card, and I'm like, what is it about?
And it's about exploration and cities and.
We're a reviewer. Come on.
No, I'm really bad at theme. Well, it's also like a game I learned at BGG. It's not something that we learned on the spot here. I get more of that theme when I'm like with you and we spend more time on it. But if I'm just learning at some table, I'm not gonna.
Right, exactly.
And
you were this was in the hot games room, right?
Unless it's like very obvious what it is, but like Atiwa is very obvious. Like we're taking care of bats and we're trying to produce the bat village. I don't know, Batman.
Time says, but the Magnificent is the best.
I do love Magnificent.
Stacy says one comment was that you're supposedly reviving the land, but it looks bleak and gray even once it's revived. It's definitely mechanic heavy and theme pasted, in my opinion. Timerl says the descriptions were really hit and miss, like the publishers weren't sure what games they were showing.
It is a very gray game. I was not impressed by the art direction and all that. But
let me say, 2022 has been the year of beige.
I'm not saying it was beige either, but
I'm saying 2022 has been full of beige games.
There has been.
No knock on the games. The games have been really, really solid. Lacrimosa, very beige, very fun, right?
Yep.
Am I right? I mean,
and Toletum,
very beige, super fun.
And Terracotta Army is beige and brown.
Beige and brown and black. Yeah.
Yes,
Beige and brown, says Chelsea.
I agree. If you're into the theme, that
Chelsea, a B&B game.
yes, if you're into theme, then I don't know if Revive will draw you in. I don't know. I mean, it's very generic. It's like explore lands.
But I love
Build,
engine
build, build.
building. So
Oh, I know you're gonna like the game, but
Stacy says she liked the card art, so that's good.
if you're going into it with the theme primarily as a thing, then I don't.
Theme is always a thing for me. But I do love engines.
It's
That's the thing. I love engine building.
It's never a thing for me, so it's yeah.
So, but I mean, this is the thing.
Lacrimosa, not beige. It was very beige. I don't know what game you were playing, but it's very beige.
Lacrimosa, well, it is. It's off white. The whole board is off white.
The whole
it's we have gone to calling anything with a plain
it's very
lackluster canvas as just plain beige.
Eggshell.
Dan says eggshell.
All right. Wow.
Be glad I even know beige. Anyway.
Oh my goodness. Going into game number 2 for you.
My game number 2, we have talked about already from Czech Games Edition, Deal with the Devil.
I think the kitty's involved.
The kitty loves it. Deal. The kitty, small friend, is the devil. This is super unique. There's a lot of games where I'll say, oh yeah, this is like this or this is like that. There is nothing much like this. This has got a lot of super interesting things with trading mechanics I have not seen before. Not just because it uses the app, but where I could offer something that you're looking for because I want your gold, but the devil offers you something because they want your soul. I'm just wanting gold, but you might take my offer because, or maybe I'm looking for someone to offer me something that I want, and I want to give them gold, but I'm not going to get my gold from my treasure chest until my treasure chest comes back. So I've got to have that gold on hand. I really enjoy how it does everything. Now, like a lot of games this month, there are a couple caveats. This game is stuck at 4 players. That's obviously one huge
setback.
There's another one that I don't think I've seen a lot of people talk about, and that is there are 5 rounds in the game. There are exactly 8 of the level of the round 1 buildings. Exactly 8.
It's not 8.
It's not 8.
It's 4 per player. So it.
But you get them. Do you get them all?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. 16 level 1 buildings. Each player gets 4. 16 level 2 buildings. Each player gets 4. 16 round 3 buildings. Each player gets 4, etc. There were cards in round 3 and round 4 that if you activated them in round 3, it would give you 2 points for building it and 2 points every time you activated it. There was one in round 4, it was worth 3 points and 3 more points every time you activated.
So that was 9 of your points in the game.
And this is an extremely low scoring game. The game ended 19 to 16 to 15 to 15. And I scored 9 points on that one building. And so here is my concern. There are exactly the number of buildings for each round for those players. Exactly enough. Therefore, every building is in every game. And if there are superior buildings, that's a huge detriment to the game. Now, granted, the buildings are not cheap to make.
No.
You can only make maybe one
maybe 2.
Rare cases, 2. I mean, super rare cases.
In a round.
2
So
in a round.
building 1. That means
By the end of the game, 5 rounds, you probably have 5 buildings.
Probably.
Max.
Yep.
Out of the 16, 20 you've seen.
Yep.
But those are always going to be in the game. I always prefer games that do not have perfect information. Give me 24 out of give me 20 out of 24 cards.
Right.
These 4 are not ever going to be seen.
Right.
Here's the other problem with having exactly 16 cards in a round. If I've got these 4 cards and this card is clearly better, I'm always going to build this card, and these 3 cards don't even need to be in the game because I'm always going to build this card. People might say, oh, well, in certain situations, you're probably going to want to do this card versus this. If there's clearly a better card, like the 2 points, it's 2 points plus 2 points per activation, potentially times 3. And I think he got his off 3 times.
I think he did too.
So that's 8 of his points and 9 of my points.
Right.
I see why they put him in those rounds because it gives about that same number of points.
Right.
But if it's always that, there's going to be a problem. Someone's going to get that unfair advantage. And if it's just that building, it's going to...
I anticipate with Czech, they like to do expansions, that there will be expansions that will add more cards or different
Czech
things.
often does expansions.
Yeah.
So that's going to be good. I don't want the game to be stale to where it's,
if you don't get the building,
you've always got the church. Okay, you're going to do the church.
Yeah.
So, or whatever. I don't even know what the card was.
There were tons of cards I saw that I'm like, oh, I want to build that. Oh, I want to build that. Oh, I want to build that. And then I never did because I just didn't have the resources or whatever. But it's just a matter of, if I saw the 3-point building, I would make a point to flip that out.
Right.
Because that is an automatic 3-point.
And I didn't do my 3 because I saw his 2. I saw the 3 and went, that sounds like a lot of points. And we didn't, at the time, we didn't even know it was that low scoring of a game.
No.
It just looked better than the other ones. Now, Time Roller asks, are there useless buildings people get stuck with? Well, yes and no, in that you're not stuck with them because you're always getting 4 in your hand. You keep 1 from the previous round that you may or may not want to build.
And there's a draft.
And there's a draft.
So,
but you've got those buildings. All the rest of the buildings, you just got to ditch.
Yeah.
You keep 1 between rounds. If you haven't built them, and trust me, you will not build them all.
Unless you make a deal with the devil and
you will
get
not,
a lot of resources.
Even still, I don't think you're going to build half of your buildings.
No.
There was 1 round, I built 2 buildings. There was 1 round, I built no buildings. And the other rounds, I built 1 building.
Yeah.
And that was fairly normal.
Yes.
Amongst us.
Yes.
There's just not enough resources
to get 2
push it real good.
But yeah, I agree. I think that could be questionable. We only played the once, so who knows?
It does have. If it does become samey, well, we've only played it the once, but if it does become samey, that would drop this down my rankings. Currently, it takes a lot to impress me with a new sort of mechanic. It takes a lot. This does it. This gives me that new mechanic.
It's totally worth playing.
And plus, you guys know I love hidden trader games. This is that.
But if you see a 3-point building, definitely get it. That's my advice.
For sure.
I would.
So yeah, it is definitely worth checking out and giving this a try. Like I say, you as a gamer, you owe it to yourself to do this.
Do it.
Anyway, your number 2 is another one I haven't played.
Nope. It's called Woodcraft.
Because it was in the BGG Hot Games room.
Yes.
And the Hot Games room was hot.
On the last day, because I didn't think anybody would be rushing in to play it, but there were. But I found a table who...
You barely got in time.
I barely got in. I got up wicked early to play. But
I got wicked early.
Who was prepared, who had read the rules, who was ready to teach. I'm like, let's do this. It was awesome. Again, with the theme, I'm not good with it. But like, these dice represent wood. And then you can like plant them and grow trees with them. And basically it increases dice. I never planted anything. Actually, I just used I got dice other ways. There's contracts to complete. There are people to recruit that give you bonuses. All these things will unlock. You can unlock different tools to help you cut up the wood. So if you have a 6, you can make it a
Good on
3
things.
and
Good to
3.
know.
I'm trying.
Good job. Good job.
I'm really bad at these, but
Props.
I guess I mean, it's wood crafted. I don't know. I don't know. There. So Dan,
That's the most next.
what? I didn't hear it.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay, but yeah. So there's different things that you're doing with the wood, and
The laissez faire attitude towards theme cracks me up. It's like, theme, whatever.
I'm right at it. Okay, what can I say? I don't know. All I know is I love the freaking wheel in the middle of the
Wow.
board. It's so cool. And if you've played Shipyard, this kind of comes back to Shipyard, where the longer an action's available, the more bonuses you get for it.
Oh.
So there's a cool like if you take the action everybody keeps taking because that's the one you want to do,
Because it's not going to stay tasty.
and take extra stuff with it.
Whoa.
So actions become better as people take other things. So
That's kind of beige.
it's wood. It's
To
brown.
be fair.
To be fair.
Because woods, yeah.
But
Yeah, you love things that give you extra bonuses. You've got to really, I got to give you props as I do. You have a really good eye for seeing a good move and going, no, I'm taking it. It does not matter what game it is that we're playing. You tend to, and this is why I think that you are more clever than you give yourself credit for.
Oh,
And you
this makes me happy.
You see moves.
I see moves. I see moves. I know I see moves,
But it's not just one game. It's a lot of different games. And so props to you for that. So
but thanks, Stacy. I taught not Everdell, that's your name. I taught Lacrimosa, and then I crushed them. I'm sorry.
I try to fight you for those moves.
Teach games, but I ended up winning them.
So I see the moves, but you either see it at the same time I do or right before I do, and you snatch them up before I can get to them, and I'm like, I see you see the moves. Don't take my moves.
Woodcraft. It's so clever because there's quadrants, so it's a circle and there's 4 quadrants. And so if you take a move, then it goes up to the next one, and then this will spin. And so it unlocks new things for everything that's back here. And so you can keep taking these things from back here, or you can take the one that's up here and go to the next. But then that's going to spin more. Now these ones are going to get more actions over here, like extra wood or extra dice, or that's what I mean. And then other materials you could get. And so the whole game, I was sitting in the back of the wheel getting all these bonuses, and nobody else was doing that. So I was like doing all these other things nobody else wanted to do, and I ended up winning by a pretty significant amount because nobody was taking all the extra stuff. I'm like, I'll take the stuff. Like, you only get like 12 actions or something in the game, so you don't get many actions. So you really need to plan wisely. I know Dan had said something about the attic. There's an attic where you can put tools in the attic, and it's kind of just like an added on thing. And yeah, I felt that way. Nobody in the table was doing the attic puzzle thing that you had going on, and I was the only one to do it. And I ended up winning, but I didn't really do a whole lot of that. So maybe it was a little bit tacked on. I don't know, but I would still, it doesn't bother me. Like, I don't care if it's just one added thing. You don't have to do it. You can't do everything.
Now, well, that's you want to not give your players everything,
right?
Because then it's too loose of a game,
right?
You want it, and you also don't want it to be so tight. You can't do anything,
right?
So there is a balance to be had there, and it probably hits that balance. Though I have not played it yet. I remember reading something on your New to Me blog post where somebody was complaining about something about the wood in this game that was
Yeah,
too hard.
we played
Yeah.
with him,
Uh
Applejack.
huh.
So he was saying like he wasn't getting so there's an action to actually buy wood dice, and that was kept being pushed all the way to the front. But I'm like, there's other things to do.
Other things.
So like you can complete
So
contracts with
investing at the time.
Right. So if you can complete contracts, you might unlock different dice. So that's what I was doing. I was getting like dice by other methods. And not everybody was focusing on that one action, so it wasn't always locked, like in his case. So I would just buy dice when I could, and if I needed it.
Otherwise, hold back for a minute and take what you can get.
A person ability that will every time it was my turn, I could basically tap, and then I could upgrade one of my yellow dice or something. So I would always go up one pip. So I would always have like a yellow die on hand because I'd want to make sure I could use that ability. So things like that where it would automatically give me a +1. So finding those little ways to get the bonuses to make sure you have what you need
without having to take a little action, you do all of this while you
Right.
can do
Right.
this. So I call games that have actions like that. It's not always disaster mitigation, but I think of it as disaster mitigation, right? You've got something. I first thought about this forever ago playing Advanced Civilization. You are going to have bad stuff happen to you. How do you mitigate that? How do you respond to that? If it's a famine coming up, do you hold on to this grain? Do you trade for grain, etc.? What do you do at the time?
Right.
If you can't do what you want to do, what must you do, or what can you exploit currently, and then I can deal with the rest of that stuff later when I have a better chance.
Right.
Yeah, I do want to build this building now, but if I don't have the wood and this looks really tasty, I should be able to get that. So anytime I see something like that, it's a disaster mitigation thing for me. What sort of thing can I do to mitigate the bad thing that's happening, or what sort of good thing can I take right now, even if it's not the thing that I want here, that's going to give me something small. What's the big thing I can take and use this to the best of my ability? I think that would probably be right up my alley.
Stacy wants to comment. For those who care, in Woodcraft you play as forest people, running competing workshops in the woods, gathering wood and crafting goods for your customers.
Can you build a goose?
She says, surprisingly, it is 3.85 on BGG. Would you agree? I would say it doesn't feel that heavy.
Is a heavy game 4?
Yeah, I think so. So it doesn't.
4 out of 4?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
For me, everything clicks, so it just makes sense. Versus Lacerda's, where I'm sitting there like, there's too much going on. So, I would say for me, it's more complicated than Toledo, for example, and that's a 3. So maybe
Is Toledo a 3 though? I don't think Toledo is.
Marco Polo's a 3.
Those are similar games to me.
I know, and that's where they fall in line.
Maybe it might be at that.
I wouldn't say 3.85, but maybe 3.5. I don't know.
That difficult?
It's not that difficult, but there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of options.
Maybe is it a 3?
It's like I said, it's not as easy as Toledo.
It's not as easy as
no. There's more.
So maybe I think a Toledo or a Marco Polo might need to be like a 2.5, a 2.7.
You look at like the 2.5s, 2.7s.
Well, that's the thing. Those are probably weighted. There needs to be more room on the top end of that scale because I know a lot of games that are more complex than Toledo and Marco Polo.
Right. I don't know if the top is 4 or 5, but I
don't know. I don't know. If it's a 5, then that makes sense that a 3 would be Toledo and Marco Polo.
I agree.
If it goes from 0 to 5.
Right.
Of course, you have to have a 0.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't remember at this point. And they are subjective, that's true. But I do find this is more. It is 1 to 5.
It is 1 to 5.
So yeah, that makes
3 and 5.
Sure.
If Toledo is a 3, then this being a 3.5 is not.
Or yeah.
As long as there's room on top, I want to make sure there's a 1.5 on top of that. So yeah.
There is a significant amount going on in Woodcraft. However,
High Frontiers are 5. Yes.
So, For me, it was very easy to grasp because I can understand it.
Mhm.
But I could see like the glossy eyes of PAX people trying to learn this in general.
That's what you're gonna remember.
Well, I mean,
Demoing games to people, you'd see it over and over, right?
right, and they just don't. So it's just the normal like PAX like non gamer gamers learning
Casual gamers.
very casual gamers. Like
No shade on casual gamers, but they would just eyes would just glaze over.
I'm surprised High Frontier is only a 4.3. Yeah. I feel like it should be higher, in my personal opinion, because there is a lot going on.
There's a
And
lot.
that's when my eyes glaze over.
Oh
All right, Jeff, it's been an hour of the rules. Can we get to play?
my goodness. So,
I love it very much. I hope that I get a copy sometime.
from Delicious Games,
I want to play again real bad.
I want to do a little bit of a game here for our number one.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody, are you ready to answer?
Everybody knows the number one.
This is our number one. First person to say it.
Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it.
Looking for the first person to say, because everyone knows what the number one game of this month is. Hello, Quicksand. Hello is not the game.
I mean, technically, Time Roller. I might have said it.
No cheating. Time roller. Clue. Stacey got it. No. Yes, Time Roller has it. Chubby says, I can't remember what you played this month. Now, everybody knows this. Everybody knows what game we have just been raving over this entire month. We played it this month at VGG Con. We came home and played it with James and Susan. We played it 2-player on stream, and we didn't even have to play it with James and Susan. We wanted to.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, you got your Tuesday group, right?
I taught it.
And you played it with them. So you played it 4 times this month. I played it 3 times. And for those of you who know me, how many times do I play 3 games?
Dan is coming. Like, we're gonna teach Dan.
And I said, has Dan played Mosaic? And you said, no, but I think he needs to. I said, that's what I was about to say. Is that
this is a game Michael wants to play over and over again. And I'm sitting there in the middle of Mosaic game, like, when are we playing this again? like this is a game I want to play over and over and over again. It is fantastic.
It is.
It's really great.
It is a masterpiece.
Yes.
Some people, there was somebody on your stream that called it a big version of Hadara. And I don't see that.
I don't either. That didn't make sense to me.
But I get that. I get that they like the snappy turns. I mean, in Hadara, basically you're just you take one, ditch one.
Yeah. And you're adding.
And you add it. But this doesn't engine build like that.
No, and then it also doesn't like make cards cheaper.
So I don't know where that came from. So whoever reads the blog,
yeah,
I don't know where that comes from. But I love Hadara and I love Mosaic. So
love both of
those. Anyway, so in Mosaic, you've got a civilization in front of you. It's your standard Mediterranean, North Africa, Europe, sort of East Asia, all of that, right? And all of that. And you've got resources sprinkled throughout the map. And it's never the same because there are blank tiles. You put a tile on every single spot, and some of them will be blank. And then you basically will build your civilization up. It's not a dudes on a map game. Yes, there are dudes on a map. It is not a war game.
Nope.
I
mean, it can be.
You can have conflict. Like you and James went at it. Yeah. It was sad, but it didn't break the game for you. It's another one of those things where your dudes killed his dudes, but you don't have to do 2 dudes at all. But you can't let him
just run over
the board.
Yeah, if I didn't stop him, like, were you gonna stop him?
Maybe. I had things I was doing though.
So I had things I was doing too.
I mean, Aldi did it.
Yeah,
but we didn't. But we didn't stop him, and he still lost.
Yeah, but James won.
James won by 1 point. Like I beat you by 1 point. See, this is the thing. Completely different strategies. James did more of the general strategy, putting dudes on the map. Aldi did that general strategy, but did not put cities on the map. Where James succeeded was putting cities and towns on the map and getting a few majorities. I put some cities on the map, but I built up a lot of technologies. Steph and I always go after the 6-point Civ benefits and everything.
You got to focus on that.
There are tons of technologies. There are tons of different building areas that you can go after. There's tons of little symbols to collect. I love how those tags work, much like Terraforming Mars. I think I will always love Terraforming Mars and all of its derivatives, to be honest. And I'm always going to love Mosaic because, man, this game is
it's streamlined. It's
super
nice.
turns are bite-sized.
It's really elegant. It's a great game.
It's really elegant. Elegant is my highest compliment I can pay a game. It's elegant.
It's definitely in contention for Game of the Year if it's not there. I mean, it's just so good, and I'm super happy to have played it, that Aldi invited us and taught us the game, because it is intimidating. If you don't know the game and you're looking at this huge box, you're like, you just assume it's going to be a huge rule set with like a lot of different little things, but it's not as intimidating as it looks.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the one thing I want to emphasize.
That's our last video.
Is that just try
give it a shot.
If you can learn it from somebody who does know it, I suppose that would be easier, but
it's not just dudes on a map or cities on a map or blah, blah, blah. There is some area control, but it's not my dudes are going to march across the map and kill somebody else's dudes. 10 pages of setup, 2 pages of rules. You're not. And then 10 pages of appendix. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It's a 3.5 setup and a 1.5 gameplay.
That's, yeah.
The setup isn't that bad, but it is big.
It's big.
It's big. It's a sprawling game.
But you know what? I don't care. I love it.
It's so good.
It will. This
we love it very
this
much.
is one that will never leave the collection.
No, for sure. It's super good.
So, I would be surprised if this did not make my top 10. I might even be surprised if it is not in my top 3. So,
by the end of the year.
By the end of the year.
Which is only one more month.
Which is, we have this month and that's it. And you will be gone for 2 weeks of it.
I know. Sorry.
So,
we'll have to do
so Dan will be here, so that will hopefully make up for some of it.
A lot of games played with Dan. Dan Con is here.
Dan Con is coming.
Yes.
We love Dan Con.
Yes.
So, to summarize, number 10, San Francisco. Number 9, Fall of the Mountain King. Number 8, Tribes of the Wild. Number 7, Shake That City. Number 6, Atiwa. Number 5, Applejack. Number 4, Mountains of Madness. Number 3, Canopy. Number 2, Deal with the Devil. And number 1, Mosaic.
My number 10 was Fall of the Mountain King. Number 9, Deal with the Devil. Number 8, Canopy. Number 7, Shake That City. Number 6, Tribes of the Wind. Number 5, Applejack. Number 4, Atiwa. Number 3, Revive. Number 2, Woodcraft. Number 1, Mosaic. And Toledo was a different month. Otherwise, it would have been right in this list for sure. For both of us. We both played it several months ago. So
Several months ago. Yep. Gen Con, I think, was
Gen Con.
First time.
Yeah, I think it was August.
I didn't play it that night, but I played it immediately after, and it was super good that month.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, for sure.
It'll definitely be in contention for Game of the Year because I love it very much.
It will likely hit my top 10. So a lot of spoilers.
Spoilers, but we'll see what happens. We're gonna do the best of December next month, and we'll also do shortly right after that the best of the year
2022.
Yeah, so be on the lookout for those videos in the coming month. And
Yep.
It's gonna be a happy holidays for everybody, hopefully.
Yep.
And games will be played.
Yep. We will be on electronic. There will be a we're going to set up the stream so that we can do a BGA sort of stream
Yeah.
while you were gone over the holidays up north to the Boston area.
No, to the Maine.
Well, that's the Boston area.
It's Maine.
It's mainly Boston.
It's mainly Boston. So yeah,
But yeah, you will be away. I will not be away. I will be right here in Board Game Central.
Yeah.
And the greater Boston area. Yes.
Greater. It's very out there, right? Maine. Past New Hampshire into Maine.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, New Hampshire is just North Boston, and Maine is like Northeast Boston. So,
all right, we're gonna
anyway.
Make sure to check back for more videos.
Yep.
Hit the like button.
Hit the like button and join us every Wednesday and Sunday at 5 p.m. Central, where you will get at least 3 games every single show.
Yeah.
With full rules, teaches, and playthroughs. So, come join us.
Yes.
On twitch.tv/BoardGamerSteph. And hey, you know where you're watching this video here now, so stick with us.
Yes, we'll be right back.